Hello, it's Jeremy. So recently I saw the Green Knight for as part of a college movie night kind of thing, and I had a lot of complicated and mixed feelings towards this movie. So I decided to make this review detailing what I think of the Green Knight. Let's start with what I like about GK. First, the intentions. I really respect this movie's intentions, taking an old King Arthur poem and adapting it to a modern format and using incredibly creative, odd visuals and nonlinear storytelling to make a creative and faithful adaptation. And A24 were definitely the right people to bring this movie to life, as they make a lot of really creative films, and a lot of what they do work. In addition to that, I like the main character. Sir Gawain is a very likable character. He's kind, but not a Gary Stu, is loyal to his king, is confident and courageous, but shows fear when he needs to, and Dev Patel gives the character a likable and affable charm, not unlike Cassius Green from Sorry to Bother You. And the other characters, they're a mixed bag. There are basically two types of characters in The Green Knight. The first are characters that actually have a personality, and then there are ones that act like robots. I'll talk about the latter when I get to what I don't like about the movie, but overall, there are some good characters. Gawain's girlfriend, Essel, is very fun and playful and has great chemistry with Gawain. The peasant gang that attacks Sir Gawain are the perfect balance of fun and menacing. Some of the background characters are pretty funny, and the title character is really cool. He gives off the vibe of a wise and kind old man, but also is hardened and isn't afraid. He's a very compelling character that I kind of wish we saw more of. And I like the little text things that appear in certain parts of the movie. It gives the film a Wes Anderson vibe. So that's what works. Now let's talk about what doesn't work, because man, it's a lot. Now before I start, I know that a lot of the stuff I'm complaining about was because this movie was based on a poem from the 14th century. I acknowledge that, but I won't absolve any of my criticisms just because of the source material. Now, what do I not like about The Green Knight? First off, the pacing. This movie is 2 hours long and does not deserve to be that long at all. So much of this movie is just people talking or people staring and not doing anything, and it's so boring. I'm sorry, it just is. It's so boring to see these people just talking dryly or just doing nothing. It doesn't further the plot, and it wastes the audience's time. Speaking of irritation, let's talk about the boring characters. While there are a lot of characters that are really robotic and boring, the king and queen are the first that come to mind. While I don't really mind the king, he's overall a very kind character that's also very confident and likable. He just gives off an ugly vibe, and he speaks super softly, which really gets on my nerves. And the queen is a straight-up non-presence. She is so dull and forgettable, and the actress who played her gave no character to this character. Although the part where the letter possesses the queen was really freaking cool. Finally, the music. I hated the music in this film. It was so boring, dour, and ugly. I get that this film is set in a medieval time, so they wanted medieval music, but it just made every scene feel like a funeral and added little to nothing. And before we end this section, let's talk about the weird stuff in this movie. See, a lot of this movie consists of Gawain's journey, akin to something like Alice in Wonderland or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And a lot of weird stuff happens. And I have mixed feelings about this. At first, the weird stuff was cool. The giants were very cool and creative, and the Winifred stuff was really interesting and a straight-up acid trip. But after a while, it gets to the point where it's too much insanity at once and my brain can't take it. And keep in mind, this is coming from a guy who watches stuff like this.
Can I help you?
Yes, you can. Got a job for you.
Okay. I'm hired.
My head is now a giant egg! Whoa! My head is now a giant egg! Egg!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Someone here is not the law.
Someone here.
But despite my massive gripes with it, The Green Knight was overall a good film, and one that I really respect. It's a film that tries to be different, and it succeeds. and I applaud its efforts to break from the norm and try something new. In a year full of sequels, prequels, and requels, it's nice to see that there are still studios that are willing to try something different. And while I'll probably never see The Green Knight again, especially since it's 2 hours long, I do recommend checking it out. You'll probably get a lot more out of it than I did, so set some time aside and see if The Green Knight is something you'll like.